This is me, an aquatic player who proved himself to be a Stegosaurus tournament champion. Today I'm going to show you my build I used and a few tricks which helped me gain victory. I hope this helps. Right everyone, so we're going to be taking a look at my Stego build which I used for that tournament and what got me this tournament win. And I had to go up against other Stegos, so other Stegos would have been using different builds and obviously different play styles, but this is what got me a tournament win. So first of all, when you pick your Stego, you're going to be hit with the subspecies, which you're going to have to select. The first one is plus 3% attack damage, second one plus 5% bleed damage, and the last one plus 5% health. I'm going to tell you now, every single one of these is useful. Every one. Plus 5% health, you become more of a tank. That 5% can maybe tank you another hit. The 3% attack damage, this is what I used. More damage output. With my build, I didn't really get a boost in terms of damage output with my abilities selected. So this definitely helps in that sort of scenario. And then obviously 5% bleed damage. You're going to be inflicting bleed with your tail. So again, having that extra 5% bleed damage could be useful. But this is what I use, plus 3% attack damage. However, you can use any. Right, so we're going to go through the different abilities here, which I used for this Stego to win the tournament. And we're going to go through whether I think some abilities are useful, what's not useful. We're just going to have a discussion basically. And bearing in mind, I am not a Stego main, I'm not a land main. However, I did win a tournament on this thing, so I at least have some understanding of how these abilities work. So, senses, let's get straight into it. So we're going to go over Fresh Blood first. Increases attack by 10% when within 50 meters of a bleeding creature. So, perfect, because your tail is going to be doing bleed damage. So if your opponent is bleeding and they're within 50 meters, it will increase your overall attack damage by 10%. Great if you're an aggressive player. However, I like to be a bit more of a tank when it comes to Stego. I like to have that extra defense. So what I went with is Lone Survivor. And there's another reason why I went with this as well, which I'll get into. Plus 10% armor increase, which is great. You know, you'll be able to tank more hits, win situation, and increase maneuverability when not in a group. So we're just going to stick this on. Basically, what this is going to do is it's going to allow you to move quicker and turn quicker when not in a group, which is really helpful actually for Stegos, because of the way the tail moves and the way you have to be good at that type of movement in order to get headshots, in order to get shots onto your opponents without getting hit as well. This is really helpful. And plus, you know, the 10% armor is just a bonus, so this is what I had on. But Fresh Blood is also good if you're that type of player who's not particularly the best with the movement. Hide. Okay, so we've got solar powered, increases stamina recovery by 50% during the day. Resilient Scales increases bleed and venom healing by 20%, and Tough Scoots increases armor by 15%. This is the one I use because again, I like to have that extra defense, and I would say I'm pretty good with my Stego movement, so I'm able to manage my stamina well. So I'm not really in need of the stamina recovery. However, this is really good if you know you burn your stamina quick. This is also good if you know you're fighting other Stegos, and it is a good ability to have. But honestly, I'd recommend Tough Scoots or solar powered here, being the main ones. So we're going to put Tough Scoots on. Legs, you only got one, which is pivot. Standing in place for 5 seconds dramatically increases your turning speed, lasts until you move. So stand in place for 5 seconds and then you'll be able to turn much quicker. Perfect if you're waiting for, you know, another Stego for example to turn around and come and hit you. You can stand in place for 5 seconds and then quickly turn around and hit them on the head. However, you might not be able to bait, you know, good Stego players with this, but it's certainly a nice ability to have. back limb, we've got long distance runner, reduces running stamina drain by 15%. Again, self-explanatory, you'll be able to run for longer, which is good, especially since you're slower than most of the apexes. And that's another reason why I went with a more tanky build, because you're slower, so they'll be able to take more hits. So yeah, long distance runner. The two tail attacks, you've got tail attack, an attack that causes heavy damage and high bleed, and tail swing. Charge up the attack and inflict bleed based on how long it's held. I'm going to be honest, you will rarely use this. As you continue to play Stego and as you face better players, you will not use this very often because of the time it takes to charge up the ability. Players can automatically sort of sense when you're about to do it, and it's really easy to bait out, so you'll not be using this. The tail attack, is going to be your prime attack. And the reason being, you can chip away a player's health with this. Even if you're only hitting them on the back of the tail, it's still going to be inflicting a little bit of damage, which is good. And obviously if you hit them in the body or the head, then it's going to do bleed damage as well, and a lot more regular damage, which is great to have. So this is my current build, which I run on officials and what I run in the tournament to take the win. Alright, just to give you guys some basic tips on how I play Stego, we're going to take this berry bush for example. Let's just say this berry bush is another Stego player. Alright, and normally what happens in these Stego fights is I'm normally one behind the player. So the other Stego will be here where the berry bush is, with their tail pointing me. Okay, so let's just say I'm the Stego behind and we're walking up. So what I like to do, and what most Stego players will do, is you want to run up, juke back and hit them with the tail. That's going to be your basic line of attack for trying to dodge hits. So as you gallop, as soon as you gallop, you can precise movement and stop instantly, and then go in and swing your tail. Really effective for dodging hits, and also good for chipping away at their HP. As I say, you might only be hitting their tail, but if you keep chipping away at their HP and then land them with a big hit, it's going to make a hell of a difference. So another thing I like to do, and especially with the lone survivor ability that we have on here, increased maneuverability, what you can do is you can use this. I mean, I suppose you could do this with fresh blood as well and without the increased maneuverability, but you know, the lone survivor is just going to make this so much easier. So let's say this berry bush is the Stego again, the enemy Stego, and they've turned around and they're going to try and come and bait you with a tail attack like this. Okay, what I would normally do here is, if they're just coming straight at me, and let's say they're where the berry bush is right now, but they're walking towards me in a straight line, what you can do is you can quickly turn around and try and hit them in the head. Now sometimes, it doesn't work all the time, but most of the time, when you do this, you know, if you turn around, hit them in the head, they will try and smack you with their tail, and it's only going to hit your tail because you've already turned around and you've already gotten away from them, to the point where it's only going to be dealing damage to the tip of your tail, so you won't be getting inflicted by bleed damage, which is really important as well, you know, for conserving that, conserving the HP. So again, you know, if the Stego's this berry bush, what you would do is you would come up, they're going to try and get behind you, turn around quickly, hit them in the head, and then the reason why I like this as well, look where I'm standing after the movement. My tail will be facing the other Stego, which basically puts you in a defensive position, and it's going to make it really hard for them to get a body hit on you automatically. So playing like sort of ultra defensive but also kind of aggressive, it really helps. So basically put it as a mixture of playing passive and aggressive. That's how I normally play Stego, and it's really unpredictable as well when it comes to fighting players, which I think is, you know, one of the main reasons why I succeeded on getting my victory as the Stego. If players can't judge what you're about to do, then, you know, how's it going to make it easier for them to get hits off? So that's basically the easy set of movements that I use to win the tournament. It seems fairly simple, but actually implementing them in a fight is quite difficult. But I hope this has helped, and you know, I will be doing a lot more videos on the Stego because this is by far my favourite land dino. Obviously, I'm still going to be in a Corkman. But yeah, I really like the Stego at the moment, so I hope this has helped, and I'll catch you guys later.